controversy is here to stay, man. What do you think? I love controversy. Can't live without the truth, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once more to the favorite show, The Controversy, of course. And it is everyone's choice. Tell your friends, WhatsApp, like us, and make sure we are ahead. Today it is Africa Month as we are wrapping that Africa Month. So we are wearing African as Africans. So you look good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, you look scared, but you look good.
No, I'm not scared. But I'm just happy for being here and embracing my Africanity.
Today it is, of course, that month. I know most of us don't know about this month that it exists. So we are trying to spread the news out there for everyone to know and for everyone to start celebrating themselves. Eh? It is our month. We are celebrating this big motherland, Africa, that is. So we will be talking about Africa today. We want to know, where is this name Africa coming from, Stebe? Who named us?
Okay, thank you very much for a wonderful show and invite. But before even going there, I just want to say igama lami ngumuzikayise Mkholo kaSithebe. Kambovana owadlila ilizwi ngamadoda. I'm an African. And I'm not African by default or by geographical location that I was born in Africa. But Africanity runs through my veins. So yes, I am African. Well, to go back to your question, when we speak about Africa and we speak about Africans, there is a serious problem that Africa and Africans, they become objects, not subjects.
Objects.
Yes, they become objects, not subjects, to their own land, to their own history. Because of the writers of the history, are whites. Therefore, many things have been said about Africa. Many things, have been nullified by whites in particular, taking us or suggesting that we never had history. So that's the problem that we're facing. That most scholars, particularly white scholars, they will even pronounce it and say, our history it's based on anecdotal memory, meaning that it's all oral based. Therefore, it cannot be verified or whatsoever. But going back to your question, Greeks named us.
They discovered us.
Yeah, I don't want to say discovered, but they've named us.
What's in the name? What's Africa?
Well, the name Africa, it simply means the land of Afrix, or where the sun comes from. Actually, but that name, it was not the name that was used before. Africa, you'd understand, it had many names.
Which was by us, of course.
Not exactly by us.
What was our name? Maybe before you go further. What was Africa before Africa?
Maybe, there is a group of people, the Berbers, who were residing in top of Africa. The name that they were using Al-Gabulanen. They were calling Africa Al-Gabulanen.
And that was by us.
Yeah, those guys were African. Yes, simply meaning the mother of humankind. So you can understand that the kindness and humanity that we have in Africa, it all comes from the name itself.
So,
yes, and the other groups as well, they used to call, but those were travelers, obviously, and they were outsiders. So before even that, Africa was called Ethiopia. I hear most people they say it was called Ethiopia, but it was not really called Ethiopia because of the spelling and all that. It's all different. So it was called Ethiopia. That was before. But perhaps the name that we can, be proud to even use is Al Kupulanen, which simply means the land of human, the mother of humankind.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So tell us more about Africa, man. What is it that we should know about Africa?
Strange, because of a lot of people that you find Uti, they do not know anything, or they know less about Africa, and I do not blame them because of you see there was a movement, Western movement, which was called a pseudo a scientific theory, which pervaded and permeated into our screens, perpetuating the propaganda that anything that we have, anything that we now know, it comes from, or it was discovered, as the term that we have just used earlier on, by them, the white guys. But if we speak about Africa, Vetu, we speak about the second largest continent in the world, after Asia. My understanding is that it covers approximately 33 million kilometers. So it's situated in the south of what we call Europe. Yes, so that is Africa. And of course, there are a lot of things that we can pinpoint in Africa. It's got one of the oldest languages, which is Ahmatic, Semitic. We can point. It's got one of the most the long river in Africa, which is maybe Nile River. Is it Nile River, Congo River, Niger River? Beautiful mountains that we can speak about: Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, Table Mountain, the escarpment of Drakensberg, so on and so on. So I can go on and go on. So the weather itself, with the beauty of Africa, the nature, the big five, everything, it's Ekone Africa, the culture. Yes.
So it is a place to be.
Yes, it is a place to be.
Africa, my land, Africa, my people.
Yes.
As we're saying goodbye to our month, which is May, ne?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Sorry to interject. In actual fact, we're celebrating Africa Day. I think it was on the 25th. 25th. Yeah.
25th, 26th.
Yeah, no, 25th of May. It's called Africa Day. But again, we need to educate people and emphasize on these days that maybe the commemoration of it, maybe it must not only end there. We should, if really we want to take power, the 365 days, we need to understand, the Africanity. We need to understand, the humanity, and the role that comes being an African.
As Africa is uniting now, I hear the likes of EFF is spreading its wings all over Africa.
Yes.
Are we ever going to have maybe one president as Africans? Yes.
Well, Beto, as an African scholar, my sentiments. In this regard, I truly believe in one language, in one African language. I believe in one currency. I believe in United of Africa, and perhaps we can even take it further and say, again, it is not an EFF that maybe it came up with this idea. But that idea, it's an old idea. You know, the likes of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, Sol Plaatje, quite a number of people who had actually tried to push this agenda that we need to have one language, we need to have one currency, we need to have one leader because of Africa is one. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult after there's a lot of wars created between blacks to black on black wars. And
yes, yes, black on black violence. Yes,
black on black violence. Yes. Okay. Why do we have so many resources and yet we're so poor? What do you think may be the cause of that?
There are a number of factors that we can maybe indulge on. But my understanding, you know, you'll understand that Africa, was colonized, for a number of years. Even though most of countries in Africa, they managed to get their independence from 1905 or so. But the total control of Africa still remained in the hands of the whites. So that in actual fact is the reason that we find that there is no improvement even to those countries. Like you see, you go to a country like Zimbabwe, which again it was called Rhodesia by whites, you know, and you go and check, the etymology and all that, you'll understand that the word Rhodesia, in actual fact, it was taken from Cecil John Rhodes. You know, you remember the movement here in South Africa that was busy with the statues. I think they even
taking away the
statues. Yes. So it got its independence around 1950 or so, before us, because I understand that South Africa, it became the sovereign country around 1963, if I'm not, but I'm not, yes, 1963, 1960s, 1963. But we still remained poor because of, again, even if they gave you that sovereignty to now act as an independent country, you know, the commercial part of it, the commerce of part of it was still controlled by them. So that itself, it would simply mean Uguti, because of, again, we were using their currency, we were using their language, and even the issue of literacy now, you know. If you go, you check, in most African countries, you would find that most languages that are spoken there are not African indigenous languages. You go here in Mozambique, you'll find that most people there, even though they have their native languages, but they speak Portuguese. You know, you go to Congo. Congo was colonized by the French people, by France. You'd find that they speak French. And that itself, again, it becomes now a barrier that we cannot even interconnect with these people. We cannot have, a dialogue with these people because there is a language barrier between us and our African brothers.
So the system was very much architected to last very long.
True, even into our minds now, because of, you see someone who cannot speak English, and then you think, understand. This person maybe, he's less African. And again, you go to other countries. If you travel around Central Africa, you're going to have a problem, even with your good English. You know, you're not going to be able to do business, to maneuver, because of they are using a different language. And even before colonization, you'd find that the Arab language was also taking a center stage. In Africa. So we have that problem specifically, that even if we can trace, I can trace where I come from as a Nguni person, I can trace where I come from. But you'd find that even if I go as far as Cameroon, Tanzania, and all that, where there are traces of where we come from, my family, but you'd find that we don't speak the same language. And the language that has been taught to us, particularly it's foreign language, the one that we are even using.
Yeah, we are even not easily understood by our own people even now.
True.
Because we can't relate to them or they can't relate to us. We are speaking a foreign language.
Yes.
True. I've seen China and Russia, they are speaking their own languages.
You go to China. China now, it's one of it's a sovereign country, but not only a sovereign country, it's a superpower country because of it's controlling the world, in terms of economy. And again, I always say that we shouldn't be worried because that's the challenge again to go back and answering your question that why South Africa or Africa it's one of the most richest continent. In actual fact it is the richest continent because of you go from agriculture, we've got beautiful weather. You go from the commodities that we have,
underground.
Underground.
How many minerals do we have?
I can't count, Fetu.
That's estimate.
I know that, if you go to Congo, you'll find about 77.
Congo alone.
And
I understand Congo.
Best coffee, best, cocoa, gold, platinum, everything. But it's one of the poorest countries
in Africa.
In Africa, yes. You come to South Africa. We that's why I'm saying if ever we were trading among each other, we would be, things will be far better for our people.
So you're saying by joining these BRICS, all Africans can be free? Possibly.
Thank you very much for I knew that you were going to go there. My take on the matter is that Africa and Africans, we shouldn't be even entertaining the issue of joining BRICS or siding with the NATO. What about creating something of our own? Because you cannot really tell me, because again, that's the challenge with African leaders and Africans. It's that after 60 years of pure independence from slavery, from colonization and whatsoever, we have failed to build what is our own. Instead, you'd find our leaders going across the globe, trying to negotiate the better deal that we can get from Africa.
For us.
Yes, that they can get from outside for us. Instead of while they have everything, at their disposal. So I'm saying, for me, it's not a matter of we should be joining BRICS or siding with the Western. But for me, it's an issue we should be establishing the same organization like BRICS, whereby we trade
amongst ourselves,
without Russia, without India, because really, in actual fact, if you may look at it, it's not a matter of that. These people, they need us. Russia is a superpower. So we are being used as simply like pawns. Yes, in the game.
So you think we should create our own organization?
For me, again, I just find it very absurd and myopic to again go and say, no, let's side with the Russians. Let's side with Americans. Yet we have everything that we can be able to create. Our own establishment that will govern. Our African economy. So that's my take on the matter.
All right. Do you think our heads of state are in control because we can't even produce condoms as a country in South Africa? Do you think maybe something like creating cars can be in the cards of something that we can create while we are still stuck on a simple condom?
I was actually shocked, Vetu. The very same question or the very same point that you are raising. There are simple things, specifically like condoms, that can be manufactured in South Africa, in Africa, that will create jobs, that will also develop skills for our African people. But you'd find that because of these conventions that have been and agreements that have been signed, we cannot simply, manufacture condoms, but we rely on the outsiders to actually manufacture condoms to us and sell it to us. You know, but that's why I'm saying to you, these African leaders and this organization, whether you call them African Union and all that, I mean, they are so useless. You know that in Africa, there are countries that you cannot fly from South Africa to a certain country in Africa. But for you to do so, you need to fly across Mediterranean, fly to Europe, then get a flight or a connect charter to come back to Africa. Does it make sense to you?
Which country is that one? Expose it. Expose it.
It's not a matter of exposing. I mean the country per se, but it is the system itself that have been created, that regardless that we sing, we shout about the issue of embracing Africa, but we are still controlled one way or another. These imperialistic leaders will still find a way to benefit one way or another.
So we still need to start from scratch, building a system.
Remember, past 2 years, we had COVID, right? And most people are now talking about African traditionalists. They suggested number of herbs that were African. That maybe, I don't want to say, those herbs were healing COVID, but they were saying, let's try, let's use Dumsonyan, let's boil a number of herbs, garlic and all that. But because of we are so much aligned to West, for West to benefit, because of, remember, even the issue of COVID and another, maybe it's the topic of another day, but you would understand the billions and billions. These foreign companies have managed to actually profit from us. Whether you speak of Johnson and Johnson, you remember we had a problem whether to go to Russia and to get Sputnik, or to go to the West, to get Johnson and Johnson. Again, that shows Uguti, we do not have power. But simple things.
And Russia was donating free.
Yeah, Russia was donating to us. Yes, it was donating us. Freely. But we decided to go Western and buy Johnson and Johnson and
we are not in control.
We are not in control of our economy. We are not in control of our economy.
All right. Before we go to Africa with borders. All right, let me ask, is it possible that we can, I had, was it Zimbabwe, they manufactured their cars there. That guy who manufactured a car, a copter and all that. Why couldn't we as Africans come together and help that guy out to produce more of that car for Africans?
You know, the imperial system that we have created a system that makes it very difficult for any African, intellectual to maneuver. Here in South Africa, we have what we call South African Bureau of Standards, right?
Approval.
Yes, it's the approval. Let's say I was in a transport. I am in a transport business for some time now. So you'd find that there is a certain brand of buses, which were much cheaper than the others. Yes, than the West buses. And those buses were not allowed. But a businessman like me would simply go and organize loans and buy those buses from China in particular, and then ship those buses in. But those buses were not registered. The system, the government itself said those buses were not safe. They said those buses, they did not approve. I see those buses now, but they are very, minimal. Yes, but you would go to other, what you call brands, which are from Germany, and you'd find that the cost of the bus, it costs more than an arm and a leg. And that is a system. So to answer your question, even if you can have knowledge to build a car, to do this, to do that, but your very same government, your African government, they will say, no, this thing, it lacks standard. This thing, it does not have safety features and all that, and they will never approve that. But instead, they will go and approve something that has been established, outside, specifically to make sure that the economy stays with the white. Yes.
DJ Sbu made this drink.
Yes.
And it's still not even approved even today.
Yes. And then you would wonder, yini difference fire with Red Bull. I will just name these brands. Yes, you will wonder, what's the difference? And people, they don't know what Red Bull is not manufactured in South Africa. Because I know exactly they have a head office in Cape Town also, and it's transported mostly from Cape Town and then being distributed, across South Africa. But they even refused DJ Sbu. So that's why I'm saying that regardless of whether you may come with brilliant ideas, but this government will still find a way, to make sure your ideas, do not see the day of success.
All right. Do you think there's a link between the sale of cigarette and the unlawfulness of ganja? Is it, what do you call it, marijuana or? You want to run away now?
No, I'm here to answer questions.
They are making billions, of course, with cigarette, and they know, of course, if you can make it lawful to smoke your ganja or your marijuana, then it will definitely hinder these billions what they are making from cigarettes.
It's very low there, because of, as we speak now, you would understand that the South Africa, there's illicit cigarettes, and they are booming. They are making a lot of money. They are making a lot of money. And again, you will even see that most of these cigarettes, illicit cigarette companies, are owned by whites, by politicians.
Oh,
yes. So most of the politicians, you would find, if you read the book, by the President Keepers, you'd understand, the atrocities and all that. And you'll also understand the link between politicians, South African politicians, and those people who are actually owning these illicit cigarette companies and all that. So even if the cigarette was legal, the issue of data and all that, I think it's just a separate issue. I think it's one of those issues that needs to be separated from what we are talking about, and be dealt with, and again, people must understand what it is. It's a herb. It heals. Yes.
Okay.
But again, even if they were to even permit, the usage of it and all that. Again, this imperialistic view, it comes again because of, they say it must be tested in the labs, all that. So again, it will now mean what you will wait for an imperialistic view. To tell us whether we should go that way or not.
It's been 3 years now since Judge Zondo passed this law for the parliament to make law
Yes.
to be able for us to use.
Yes, to use it freely.
Freely, but still,
Yes.
even now, there's no coming back from.
I'm not too sure whether our president signed on the matter.
They haven't come up even with the law per se.
You see now, so
we're stuck.
We are stuck.
There's propaganda, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, it's an issue of making sure that the whites benefit from everything, or even if they don't benefit, they must have a say. Yes, they must have a say on the matter.
All right, Africa without borders. Which side are you taking, Steve? Do you want borders? Do you want us to?
No, I believe Africa belongs to all Africans. I believe, I mean, the issue, not that I believe, I know so. I mean, the borders were created by whites to simply limit our movements.
Segregate us.
Yes, so definitely I don't believe in borders.
But what do you say now with the crime, that is the heinous crime, not just any crime, heinous crime and guns, big guns that are coming in the country and ravishing the country with so much fear?
Thank you. The problem with what you are saying, it's that I've traveled, I mean, I've visited a number of African countries. But when I'm there, I behave the same way I behave here in South Africa. Even with people that you'd find people there who are, I mean, citizens of that country, we behave the same. So the issue is why people immediately they cross the border of South Africa, then they start doing this heinous crime that you are talking about. So it's not a matter of that person has crossed the border or what. Because of you as well, you can cross the border to Swaziland, but you can never do as you please in Swaziland. That would simply suggest ukuthi umthetho waseSwatini uyalandelwa and uqinile kunomthetho wala eMzantsi Afrika.
All right.
So crime is crime. Yes.
So you think these crimes that are perpetuated by our fellow Africans there in our country,
yes,
it should continue according to you?
The issue of whether the crime should continue or not, it's not there. But I'm saying, Oguti, the country, the government itself, it must have laws and deal with anyone who breaks the law, South African or non-South African.
All right, maybe we should narrow it down, because we're talking about South Africa with borders, but we can allow Africans to come in, obviously, with a document to say, I am here, I am within you. So now, the current situation now is people are coming in freely without any documentation. So is that, let's particularly look into that now. Is it a way to go?
I just feel that, you know, we are really scapegoating this issue of documentation and all that. And I'm not saying people must come to our country as they please, but I'm saying the borders were introduced by whites. You know, the borders were introduced by whites, and I'm having a challenge of dealing with illegal foreigners, dealing with the fact that blacks or illegal blacks, foreigners, are seem to be known as as people who are barbaric, as people who cannot control themselves. Yet, if we are speaking about, illegal foreigners, surely we need to understand that there are illegal foreigners who comes from America, who comes from Russia, who comes from Europe, who are staying in posh places in Sentin. But they are not victims. But people who are trying to make living, people who decided to run from their own country, seeking refuge into our own country for different reasons, they are treated bad. because of the color of their pigmentation. And that for me, I find it very wrong.
All right. Do you have a fence in your home, sir?
Yes.
And why? Why is that?
Okay, before I answer the question would be in your own house, in
Uh,
your own house now, do you need a permission to go from a dining room to the restroom or to another part of your or to your bedroom? Do you need a permission?
no, you are running away from my
No, no,
question.
no. I'm going to
Answer me
answer my
first.
question.
Answer me first. Then ask.
Okay, fine. Now
Do you
answer
have
my
a
question.
fence in your house?
Yes.
Why do you have a fence?
To make sure ukuthi iy'nkukhu zami aziphumi
So it's for protecting you
Not
and your
me.
belongings.
Yes.
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 So a stranger coming into your house will have to ask for permission, of course. Ukokota. Hey,
Yes,
Kaya,
yes, yes,
sifulekile.
yes. And now you are speaking about a stranger. Yes.
A stranger. A stranger
Yes,
is
yes.
someone who is
Yes.
not
So
familiar
are
to
you
them.
saying to me, I mean, people who are coming from Tanzania, people who are coming from Malawi, people who are coming from Nigeria, they are strangers here?
They are
Because
strangers. They don't live here. They are our neighbors. Your neighbor is a stranger in your house.
no, but who said these people are neighbors?
All right, maybe you're coming with
No,
a
answer to
different
me.
story.
Who said these people are
They
neighbors?
were always neighbors, even before.
Neighbors.
Even before, as Africans, whenever we were passing a village, we would always conza and ask for permission to pass.
Yeah,
So,
but you are talking about a different. I mean, you are taking a very different angle
mm,
because understanding Yampuetu, and again, I'm going to make this point. You are a Nguni person, right?
mm,
Because you speak one of the Nguni language. Your originality, you are not from here.
mm.
You originate somewhere up there.
In Tanzania,
Tanzania, Cameroon, so on.
Mm.
South Africa. Now I'm speaking about all the South Africans who seem to claim that South Africa belongs to them. The southern part of Africa, which is South Africa, it is evidence. There is evidence that shows, that proves that this land that we are in belongs to the Khoi and the San people. So if there were borders, probably you will be staying there next to the equator, somewhere there in Nigeria or in
No, we got that.
I'm saying to you, if there were borders, you wouldn't cross those borders. But your forefathers traveled because of there was free movement. They traveled from the north to the south. And don't you think exactly it's a matter of control, but really do we really need to segregate our people? I mean using these electronic fences and all that to say this one is he's not ours. Yet people they fly over, they come to South Africa, they are giving better preferences, houses, and these people I say those are foreigners because of they are white. They don't come from motherland Africa. So for me, anyone who comes from anywhere in Africa, like I said, that I believe in one language, I believe in one currency, I believe in United States of Africa because I am African. I do not see anything that makes me better than my fellow African brother.
Were those your closing arguments?
I'm not sure whether the show is, but if it fits, yes.
I believe Africa is one.
Yes.
However, to maintain peace and to have better control, we need these borders. They may not be called borders, but we need a line to say, if you cross here, you need to know that you are now on another people's place. You need to first be acknowledged that you are there by those guys. And what's your business thereof? And then when are you leaving? Some form of control, because immediately there's an inflow unknown people, then there'll be a lot of crime, there'll be a lot of human trafficking, then there'll be out of control. That place will be out of control. So for control purposes, I agree with those.
You said that the issue
So
of
you're closing now.
the issue of the issue of moral degeneration, it must not really be used, to perpetuate xenophobia. Because the issue of control, the issue of these people must come here and tell us their business, what they are here for, and then leave. Again, it's that issue for me. I find it very myopic. It's very short-sighted. But for me, I still believe Uguti. The only problem that we are having, and I know that's why I'm saying people are scapegoating. I mean, the issue of Africa without borders, because of these people come here and compete with us on odd jobs. And most South Africans, I mean, they will say these people are taking our jobs. What jobs? Waitering. You want to compete with someone from Malawi for waitering tables? Yeah? You want to compete with someone from Malawi for being a petrol attendant? I'm saying South Africans must create their own economy. They must create the space whereby, because I don't want to compete with those people. Those people, they are not taking any. I don't see myself competing with these people.
But there is a fellow South African that is growing, looking forward for a job, just to have food in the stomach.
Yes.
So he or she will be glad to do that waitering job, or that petrol attendant job, at least to develop him or herself, to have license, to have better opportunities.
Yes.
Now this person who is a neighbor has come now and took away that opportunity to develop that young mind to the next level. Why now? Where's the balance now?
No, but you're making it sound like these people, when they came here, they came here particularly to do that. But it's the issue of e-competition. It's the issue of, again, this it goes to say, I mean, most of these establishments that we are talking about are owned by whites. And then the question should be, I mean, where is the Minister of Labor? Why can't he or she put, regulations, regulate these establishments to say, okay, fair enough, there should be 60% of South Africans in the establishments and 30% of other foreign nationals. But that, it should be the work, it's supposed to be the work of the government. The government must regulate, the labor sector, Therefore, that will simply mean, Uguti, everyone will have equal opportunity.
All right. So you're saying we as lawmakers are not doing enough.
Exactly. The issue of crime lies, with our government. Because my argument is, you cross over to Zimbabwe, you will never do as you please. But these people, they can come here and do as they please. And then do we have to blame them? Or do we blame the laws of the country?
Definitely. We are not doing much, I agree. But that doesn't mean I fully agree with the sentiment. All right, Africa, my land, Africa, my people. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you tell your neighbors, your African neighbors, that
yes.
that believe we're surviving here. They must just
that I'm advocating for the Viva Africa.
that they must like, make sure and follow us. Thank you very much for a nice controversial topic.
It was controversial. Thank you, sir.
Controversy is here to stay, man. What do you think? love controversy. Can't live without the truth, eh?